And that's really it today on the news side of things. So now let's kind of flip over and we'll go right into the Forex watch list. So you'll see I have 4 pairs marked off on my list today. We'll start on the 15-minute. EURUSD is the first one that we'll look at. You guys can see my list right here above my head. The reason why EURUSD is on my list today is because we reached this very important zone that's been kind of significant all week. If you go back to Tuesday it set up this bullish divergence that it ends up breaking and then moving lower through yesterday. But those zones created at Tuesday's low with the pin here and the initial push down here on Tuesday, which was support, then turned resistance, these 2 zones have proven to carry through this week. If you look at yesterday, which was Wednesday, it respected that level here, setting Wednesday's high right there and using it as resistance. You can see we broke that Tuesday's low yesterday on Wednesday and confirmed it last night as then new resistance to move lower. But by the time I woke up this morning, we were not only through the first zone, but back up towards this second zone. So seeing that market sentiment today is more short biased than long biased. You see how the yellow market sentiment line is in the sell zone more than it's in the buy zone? That would tell me that this still has the potential to fall today. Now, it's not a high probability short idea because market sentiment is now pretty high in the buy zone. However, if we're being technically focused, mixed with fundamentals, like I said, that US dollar news that's coming out today at 8:30, this should be good. It's lower than forecast, and it's going to be good for the labor market as a whole. If that's reflected as good in the dollar index, then what you would see is the dollar index move higher and EURUSD move lower. So now that we're back in this support zone, it's still support. It was support yesterday, resistance, whatever you want to call it. It's a key zone from yesterday that we traded down off of. That bias to me is still there to see it come down off this zone, down off yesterday's high, and come lower once that news comes out in about 30 minutes, 28 minutes. So I haven't done anything here on EURUSD yet. You can see it's still in an upshift, still holding the 8 EMA, but I am watching it, not just because we're in that zone, but also now because we have this bearish divergence on the 1 minute, as you can see. RSI is falling, price action is rising. We're now under the 50 EMA here on the 1 minute with a retest that's pretty nice. You've got 3 lower highs set in there, like this. I'll draw them in so you can see. You've got the top, you've got a lower high, you got a lower high, right? So you're having some structure set in. If this wants to hold the 50 and come a little bit closer to this 200, I could easily see it sucking down to the 800, especially as market sentiment now is in the sell zone. So that's what I'm watching on EURUSD. We're going to keep an eye on that here on stream with you guys as we develop through the morning. We can look over at EURJPY, not for a trade right now. This isn't an A1 entry as it's coming off the 21 because the RSI value, as you can see, is not proper. It's not under that market sentiment line. However, I have this marked up because this picked up its trend yesterday, finishing the day lower than it started after it was kind of choppy through the London session. Last night, you can see I have a 2-candle formation boxed off. That 2-candle formation out of the Asian session really set the tone for the day. I do think you see this come lower. Let's see if we have any divergence to set this up for a D1. I don't think we do. No, see, it doesn't even hit that 1 minute 800 EMA. So no D1, no A1 here, but this is still moving lower, and I have it marked on my list because I want to go back later and mark up this entry from the Asian session. But no entry right now on that. Now, GBPUSD has been the focus for everybody this morning in our group. This is where most people found their favorite pair of the day because that market sentiment line today is very bearish, as you can see. It's in the sell zone all day. It pops into the buy zone for a quick second right here overnight, but it's very much short biased. I've been hesitant to trade this today, and I'm glad that Kareem and some of the guys that are in it are making money. But if you're staying on the ASFX edge, to me, there is no entry here today. If you look at the structure that we've had all week, you can see Tuesday we had support that turned into resistance. That level was set back on Monday and really on Friday. So it's Friday's high that was support. It was broken on Tuesday. It's then resistance. The zone is set at Tuesday's low, which creates the bullish divergence. And this zone at the low was tested and hit 4 times when you look to go short into it today, which in my opinion is just a low probability setup because you're trading into a zone rather than after the zone is broken. Now that you see it coming lower, it's easy to feel FOMO and think, oh, I missed an entry. In my opinion, there's no D1 or A1 that's really solid here. Not only are you trading into that low from Tuesday here, but you're also trading into Wednesday's low with bullish divergence present. So I think there's a lot of knocks on this setup, and on top of that, you don't have a clear A1 formation. The only potential is to trade this like a D1, but with the D1, as it retests the 50 EMA here on the 1 minute, if you've watched the D1 deep dive, you would know that you need that market sentiment line down in the sell zone. And since it's not there, I don't think there's an entry on this. Maybe here as it comes off the 50 with that market sentiment line in the sell zone, maybe that's where you get in. But if you took your entry there, if I mark that up, and we sync this to the other side, you're literally trading right into the zone on the 15-minute that it bounced off of yesterday, once today, twice today. You're going to trade short into it for the third bounce? No way. I would much rather wait for the zone to be broken and then trade a high probability formation after that. So as much as we want to short this, as much as it's an easy read based on market sentiment and the EMAs, I don't disagree with that. That's bias. A monkey can read EMAs and a market sentiment line and tell you where the bias is. But just because you have a bias does not mean that you should be going in and taking trades. You need the trigger signal after the bias. And like I just explained, I don't see a high probability short trigger signal on GBPUSD today. Okay? Don't see any questions. Tibor, I see what you're saying, bro. If the divergence is really small, I don't take it seriously. If it's only based on 15 minutes, 5 minutes, it's not serious enough for me. That's just the way I've backtested it. Now, GJ was on the list. A couple of people were looking at this 2-candle formation. The only problem with this 2-candle formation this morning, it's oversold twice today. But again, that doesn't mean it's not going to come lower. The main issue was that if you look at the next bar, you'll see it really was not through even on the next candle. So not only was it not through on the candle off the 21, the RSI still didn't come through until basically 3 candles later, 2 candles later. Now, that can in hindsight look like an A1 entry, but you have to just be watching it in the moment or use the replay tool, and you'll see that it is not an A1 entry. So that's why GJ is marked up. Now, I'll show you the rest of the watch list as we're watching GU come lower. I think if GU comes down, it should pull EURUSD down. EURUSD in this zone might want to stay sideways, might want to rise. I'm not doing anything with that yet, but just showing you the correlation, showing you where my whole thought process is on this trade, on the potential trade, I should say. Dominic took the 1 hour on GU. We can look at that really quick. A1 and D1, Ryan, those are the entry signals that we teach, the entry signals that we trade. Yeah, I mean, I don't love it if you're trading this 2-candle formation. You have this rising RSI, but I get it. I'm just not a big fan of GU with all that support. That's all. I'm really picky. You guys know that by now if you've been watching my streams. If this wasn't double layered support down here with bullish divergence, I would have been short with you guys and I would have been able to make some money. But I don't think if you put 10 of these trades lined up for me, I wouldn't take them because I think majority of them would hit one of these 2 zones and bounce higher today. The fact that you're seeing it fall through right now, I think is more of the anomaly than not. That's just my opinion, but it's based on backtesting, based on what I've done my research on. Okay. Let's go through the rest of the watch list so you can see. Look at EURUSD just ripping last night. Well through. Is this through ADR? Let me see. Yeah, well through ADR, holding the 8 EMA and just accelerating. GBPCHF, same thing, but the opposite way. All night, double ADR, triple ADR, holding the 8 EMA. EuroCAD, it's interesting. Coming off the zones that we had set from last week, it breaks them on Tuesday. Wednesday, it retests that zone here with a pin. And then last night just takes off, now double an ADR almost. So that's not on the list, clearly. GA, maxed out ADR. This could come higher today.